think of crude oil, we typically think of oil rigs drilling in the Middle East and all of that black gold. But did you know that half of the global crude oil demand comes from actually the marine sector? It's the reason why the International Maritime Organization has ruled that starting this year, marine tankers must reduce their emissions by over 80%. And they're going to do this by switching to lower sulfur fuels. So while shippers are scrambling to meet compliances of this new rule, it's caused a top quality crude oil to be sold near $100 a barrel. It's a pretty high price. All right, to correspondent side.
Well, basically, they need to mix a sweet crude oil into that heavy oil that they're currently using. And that sweet crude oil is basically known as the champagne of crude oil. And just like really good champagne, it comes with a hefty, hefty price tag. And now you'll be surprised to know that it's Australia who makes this very light and sweet crude oil. Now, the Australian crude are, in fact, the sweetest crude oil that you could ever find. They typically have a sulfur content of less than 0.3%, which means they can be mixed right into that heavy crude to bring down the sulfur content and thus meeting these new fuel standards. And while Australia may not be on par with giant OPEC producers in terms of output and export volume, it stands among the top tier producers in terms of the quality of the crude that they produce. And since this new regulation is expected to boost demand for lighter and sweeter crudes, there's also been speculation that Saudi Aramco, which is obviously the world's largest oil company, might shift production to offer this lighter crude oil in order to basically get in on the action. But so far, no word from the Saudis. So it seems so far the biggest winner in this current oil glut market is Australia. Now, lastly, it's estimated that this new regulation is going to add about $40 billion increased shipping costs across the global supply chain. So it's really going to affect everyone in terms of increase in the goods that we purchase.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see, since Australia right now seems to just have a corner on the market. If they do get competition with the Saudis, where the rest of the world will align, that's usually where other troubles have started in the past.
Exactly.
All right, Shalom. This is Harawan Ban Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Ba Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem Harakak Wadash, Ma'amaf. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, Nagwatim, and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. Before I get into this topic, or to some scriptures, I figured I should go into the etymology or the definition of the word petroleum. All right. And this would be more of a definition for petroleum. And they call it black gold or liquid gold. But to be clear, petroleum and gold are two separate elements. All right. Petroleum is a fossil fuel, and gold is a pure element by itself. All right, but both of them deal with a separation process. One is, I forgot what the word is, man. Where they use oxygen to, I forgot what the word called, oxidated. That could be the word. But they use oxygen to separate the scum from the pure element gold or silver, either one, or precious metals. But then you have a process with the liquid, which would be petroleum, and in other forms of liquid. You have a process called distillation, to where they separate the type of oil it is, And now you have a situation over there in Australia. It just so happens that all these fires are breaking out. It's coming out in the news that there were arsonists that were starting those fires, right? And it all comes together right on time, to where Australia has, out of nowhere, become one of the top competitors in the oil market, petroleum market, due to this new regulation set in place by the maritime regulators, that regulate the oil rigs. They're saying they got to lower their emissions or their sulfur content, all right, or lower their emissions. So now you have two forms of oil. You have that thick, dark tar looking oil, and then you have that clear yellowish oil, all right, petroleum, all right. So now you have that clear yellowish oil. That's what you call it, Australia is dealing with, all right, and that can be added to these other oils to lower its sulfur content, basically blending them together, mixing them. So now Australia has a lot of that oil that's called sweet oil, sweet petroleum. And Saudi Arabia is one of the world's biggest exporters of oil, especially with the OPEC market. All right. And, America has their hand in Saudi Arabia's pocket. Now, it just so happens that Saudi Arabia, about 2 years ago, they announced that they wanted to pull away from the original OPEC deal with America in 1974 or 1973, right, made by King Faisal of Saudi Arabia with Nixon in 73. They said they want to pull away from that and move towards an electronic-based exports and imports, to where they're not dealing with the dollar pegged to oil. That's all right. And they want to move more to a crypto-based system or blockchain system. So now, my bad, I'm getting a little distracted, but every time I try to do my damn lessons, my damn neighbors start stomping around upstairs. Well, anyway, it says, so I'm gonna get into this word petroleum to get give a little bit more understanding on what's going on out there. All right. But anyway, you have Saudi Arabia that's trying to transition into the crypto market or the blockchain market system, right? Electronic-based systems, more exports in that area, and in the tech field instead of oil, dealing with the dollar. All right. When Saudi Arabia basically has its own printing press, they can print to infinity with the dollar, just like America and the Feds. They print to infinity. Right, the Bank of England. So, so now you have this competition going on. So it's an oil grab. That's what we're witnessing. All these nations are going crazy over oil. The biggest futures for imports is India and China, set to be the world's major exporters of oil in the world. So who's been making deals with China to sell China oil? America. Who's been making deals to sell India oil? America. See that? They're setting up to buy oil from America at a cheap price. Now, where is America getting this oil from? Hey, who knows nowadays? It just so happens you got drilling going on off the shores of Puerto Rico. You have Venezuela, but Venezuela pulled away from America and based their currency off crypto and oil, just like Saudi Arabia may do in the future. But right now, Saudi Arabia is made filthy rich because of the dollar. But now that they're rich, I can't remember what it's at. I think it's $70 a barrel or $60 a barrel, something like that. And the longer Saudi Arabia keeps their oil at that price, they're beginning to lose value over there in the Middle East. But if they raise the price, it'll crash the American economy. Because the dollar is tied to oil. It's called the petrodollar. All right, so Saudi Arabia is kind of trapped right now by the hands of America, financially. So that's what we're seeing. And when you hear about, they say black gold, all right, that black gold is an element that's stored in the earth and is dug up and is precious. Now, this oil is something that's fossilized in the earth, under the earth's surface, and they call it precious in different distillations of it, meaning different forms of it. So one of those forms is called petroleum, all right, or crude oil. You have tar, you have asphalt. Now, it's crazy because the prophets of old, or the Israelites in general, they knew about asphalt and tar, and these are forms of petroleum, but they didn't use it for, to start no cars and shit like that. Well, no cars at the time. All right, but so they would take those, in ancient times, you would take tar, and put it around the tip of an arrow to hold your stone to the actual stick, right? You can take tar to cover the bottom of a basin or a basket, like when Moses was stored in his basket, a basin, right? And you also have the Tower of Babel, where they use slime. So I want to get into all these things and show that what Esau is doing today is nothing new under the sun. All right, there are natural slime pits all over the earth, where the distillation process or filtration process happens naturally. But anyway, but you have man-made drilling going on in the ocean. So where they're drilling all in the damn ocean, man, in the ocean floor. All right, causing earthquakes, causing all type of death to the ocean animals, destroying the sea, destroying food, and causing wars. All right, so let's get into it, man. This is petroleum, and it says crude oil, right? Petroleum is a natural occurring. So it's a natural process that occurs. And it's funny because they got the ocean is dirty as hell right now because you got all the people around the world eating damn the bottom feeders, the things that clean the surface of the earth. They eat pork, they eat crabs, they eat crustaceans, they eat clams, all these things that would kill and eat algae and zooplankton. Anyway, it says petroleum is a naturally occurring yellowish black liquid found in geological formations beneath the Earth's surface. It is commonly refined into various types of fuels. See? All right, and that's why you have fossil fuels. Fossil fuels doesn't just deal with dinosaur bones like people think. Components of petroleum are separated using a technique called fractional distillation. See, separating of a liquid mixture into fractions differing in boiling point by means of distillation, typically using a fractional column. So separating it into different columns. That's why you see them big giant columns on the oil rigs going up like that. Excuse me. All right, so it's being refined right here. You see it, the little columns right there. He's setting it off into different columns. All right. It says, it consists of naturally occurring hydrocarbons of various molecular weights and may contain miscellaneous organic compounds, right? So it has to be distilled, separated. Whether it's going to be thick, like tar or asphalt, like thick black crude oil or whatever, or is it going to be that clear yellowish petroleum oil? The name petroleum covers both naturally occurring unprocessed crude oil, right, and petroleum products that are made up of refined crude oil, a fossil fuel. Petroleum is formed when large quantities of dead organisms, see, here to the point. So it's basically dead organisms. That's what oil is, petroleum, oil, crude oil, all right? It's basically a fossil fuel. Petroleum is formed, see, this is a fossil fuel, all right? What's a fossil fuel? I'm gonna get that in a second. Petroleum is formed when large quantities of dead organisms, mostly zooplankton, all right, and algae, are buried under sedimentary rock and subjected to both intense heat and pressure. All right, get that gas, you know. So this is what a fossil fuel is. A fossil fuel is a fuel formed by natural processes, such as anaerobic decomposition of buried dead organisms, containing energy originating in ancient photosynthesis. All right. And photosynthesis is that process of the light hitting the plants, oxygen, the water, called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process used by plants and other organisms to convert light energy into chemical energy. See that? It turns into chemicals that can later be released to fuel the organism's activities. So these zooplankton, they absorb light, they absorb energy from the sun, which light does exist. They absorb it from the sun, and then when they die, all that energy is stored up in them. All right, and all that radiation is stored up in them. So now, let me get this real quick. So that's what a fossil fuel is, and that's what photosynthesis is. The storing up of energy from the sun rays into plants or organisms. All right, a fossil fuel is a fuel formed by natural processes. All right, so in decomposition of buried dead organisms, containing energy originating in ancient photosynthesis, meaning old animals from thousands and thousands of years ago. All right, it says such organisms and their resulting fossil fuels typically have an age of millions of years. They really mean thousands of years. All right, hundreds of thousands of years. And sometimes more than 650 Esau, man. It says fossil fuels contain high percentages of carbon and include petroleum, coal, and natural gas. All right, so that's what it's separated into. I mean, it has if you break it down, these are the contents of it, the elements of it. And carbon is one of those. So the more they produce, these fossil fuels or dig into them, they increase their carbon emissions. All right. So they're being regulated and they're told to decrease their carbon emissions. So they have to decrease the level of sulfur in their petroleum or crude oil. And by doing that, they had to mix it with this sweet oil. They call it the champagne of oil that Australia has right now, making them the strongest competitor against Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Aramco. All right. Which, if they compete against them, that causes Saudi Arabia to have to increase this distillation process, which is going to increase the process of their refineries work in producing that oil. It's going to increase that the taxes on it, the interest on it, the work, the price on it. All right. So that's going to be what? An expense for Saudi Arabia. You know? So it's a lot of things changing in the market, and that's why we're seeing all this stuff going on out in the oceans, dealing with the oil market. All right, because China and India are becoming the biggest holders, biggest players in the oil field, oil market. When originally America was. So now what America's trying to do is spread themselves out and have their hand in everybody's pocket. All right. So you have these deals going on with America and China, which that's basically Trump trying to create an alternate market and rebelling against the fiat currency system that was created by the Feds, Federal Reserve. All right, always going back to 1913. But the system that was built on as far as 1971, with the Nixon shock, when the gold standard was removed and they created the OPEC deals, was created oil, the petrodollar, making the dollar the world currency. Now Trump's trying to pull away from that, to where he takes the power from the Fed and he has the power. But he'd call it giving it to the American government, but he's really trying to give it to himself and his administration. All right. So, and that's what they're planning on doing, is propping up the market. You have something called a meltdown, where you had the Great Depression, but now you have a melt up, where the Dow seems to be shooting through the roof. You know, the ceiling that they're aiming for is 30,000 on the Dow. But then you have barrels of oil could shoot up to $100 a barrel. Not just for the sweet oil, but that's how much the sweet oil is costing. So all this stuff is going to affect people at the shelves. It's going to cause hyperinflation at the market, at the pump. You know. So all right. Now, this is the word petroleum. It says it comes from the medieval Latin petroleum, literally rock oil. All right, rock oil, man. Fossil fuels, fuel from a rock being fossilized. All right, fuel is something that can ignite or empower something. It says which comes from the Latin petra, rock. All right, Petra is where Esau comes from. Petra, Edom. But it just so happens that it just means rock. All right, Petra. Or in the Greek it would be Peter. All right, which means rock. From ancient Greek, Petra, Romanized Petra, or rock. In Latin, oleum, oil. From ancient Greek, Elion, which means oil. All right. So all right. So now, with that being said, let me get this real quick. This is Haggai 2:6. For thus saith Yahweh of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, saith Yahweh of hosts. The silver is mine, and the gold is mine, saith Yahweh of hosts, man. So all these things that people are fighting over on this world, that man is fighting over, these nations, especially Esau, robbing, killing, and stealing over it. Then they live and die on this earth, and all their corruption and everything they built is handed over to somebody else. So it's all vanity. And they, so everything they're fighting over belongs to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. But they manipulate it, and they act like they came up with it. All right. So, but even the gold, now let's look at the gold, which is the purest element out of the ground, one of the purest elements out of the ground, and the heaviest in its purest element. All right, which is gold. And just like this crude oil, this oil is precious in its purest form. So check this out. All right, I'm gonna click on this word gold, and watch this, man. And it says zahab, which means gold, something gold colored. All right. It says as oil, a clear sky, man. All right. So this is it's just crazy how it mentions oil. I could be talking about all forms of oil, olive oil, different types of oils. But it also could be talking about the oil in the earth as well. All right. It says gold, something colored, gold colored as oil. All right. Referencing oil to gold as well. And it just so happens when they digging into this damn earth, you have that gold colored oil. All right. Because regular oil that you deal with is not golden. It may be clear, but it's not gold or yellowish. But it says what? As gold as precious metal. Of course, that's the precious metal. All right. Of brilliance and splendor. So it's talking about gold. But check this out. It says petroleum is a naturally occurring yellowish black liquid. All right. Liquid meaning oil. But it's yellowish black. I would call it black gold. Right? I mean, it's pricey as gold is, man. In liquid form. People value gold like they value oil. Same thing, vice versa. What would you take, some oil or some silver? People take the oil. What would you take, gold or oil? That's a hard choice, but people probably take the oil so they can fuel things. Gold is something made to overlay, or to beautify, or to wear. Right, and it also has healing properties. All right. Now it says it's a yellowish black liquid found in geological formations beneath the Earth's surface. It is commonly refined into various types of fuels. Components of petroleum are separated using a technique called fractional distillation. Separation of a liquid mixture into fractions differing in boiling points by means of distillation, typically using a fractional column, meaning it gets separated the same way gold does. All right, just different processes. Gold, they use oxygen to blast it, flick it, right? In the furnace of why it's being molded and melted. And with this, they have a distillation process to where they separate it, all right, into columns. Now, what is it says basically fossil fuels today that they're using for petroleum is made from what? Zooplankton. Now, zooplankton is nothing but this right here. See that? It says, plankton are organisms drifting in oceans, seas, and bodies of fresh water. The word zooplankton is derived from the Greek zoon, meaning animal, and planktos, meaning wanderer or drifter. Individual zooplankton are usually microscopic, but some, such as jellyfish, are larger and visible to the naked eye. So it could be jellyfish as well. And they also use algae. All right, just like you could use corn for fossil fuel or for fuel. All right, so I'm not gonna get into the algae part, but yeah, so you get the point. All right, and that's what they use in the algae at the bottom. And they're using all of that to fuel and kill and destroy around the world and industrialize countries on the surface, outside of the waters. And to fuel their submarines and their aircraft carriers, their missile launchers, their damn cars, everyday factories, you name it, man. Tractor trailers, farming, everything. They're using these fuels for that. When there's other ways of doing it too, you can use solar methods, solar panels and things like that. But yeah, man, that's neither here nor there. So this is what they're doing. They're using the algae, the zooplankton, and in some methods they use corn as well and other forms of fuel. All right, I'm gonna read this last part. I'm gonna get a couple scriptures. It says petroleum has mostly been recovered by oil drilling. Natural petroleum springs are rare. Drilling is carried out after studies of structural geology at the reservoir scale, sedimentary basin analysis, and reservoir characterization, mainly in terms of porosity and permeability of geologic reservoir structures, have been completed. It is refined and separated most easily by distillation. All right. So they distill it and separate it through that. And numerous consumer products from gasoline, all right, petrol at the gas pumps, and kerosene that was used to light your stove. I was in Philadelphia. We had a kerosene heater at night. And you'll light the kerosene heater in the house. It says kerosene to asphalt. All right, so even asphalt, it gets separated. Petroleum, this natural process that happens on the earth and creates petroleum is what Esau is trying to do today through refining that oil. But the Lord already had natural a distillation process happening upon the earth to where you have what you call asphalt pits, all right, in different pockets where these gases, these liquids, reemerge on the earth. But they're in competition, so they have to drill all over the earth, just like a goddamn mosquito, drilling all over the damn place, puncturing holes into the damn earth, bleeding the earth, destroying the earth. That's why the Lord's going to destroy them that are destroying the earth. And that's Esau, man. And 2/3 of our people that are in the mindset of Esau. And also these heathens. So it says to asphalt and chemical reagents used to make plastics, pesticides, and pharmaceuticals. So I would get all this damn plastic from. Petroleum is used in manufacturing a wide variety of materials, and it's estimated that the world consumes about 95 million barrels each day. Sheesh. It's just draining the earth, man. All right, so all right, now this is Genesis 11. Now this happened about 5,000 years ago, around fourth century, fourth millennium, what you call it, 4,000 or 5,000 BC, right? Around that time period, because you have Egyptian, what you call steelers, or different proofs that go back to what you call dynasties, Egyptian dynasties that go back to the 4th millennium, 4,000. So before that, his name was what the original Egyptian name was what Matazarian, Mitzrayim, one of the grandsons of Noah. So you had to go back further. Take it back about 5,000 something BC. Now you have Abraham around 2,000 something BC, and you have the Exodus from Egypt around 1447 BC. All right, going all the way down to King David. All right, 1011 BC with Saul, and King David died 971 BC, and Solomon, and then he died in 931 BC. That's when you have Jeroboam, Rehoboam. All right, just giving the whole trail of that process from Abraham. All right, you can read about that in his generations in the book of Matthews. All right, chapter 1. Anyway, this is Genesis 11. All right, and where Genesis comes from the word Barayasha, which means the beginnings. All right, and this is part of the beginnings. So in the beginnings, they already knew about oil, or they probably didn't know about oil, but they knew about the crude oil or the tar or the asphalt, But now what? Daniel 12:4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end, right? So the word has been sealed, wisdom is given in these times to revelation. Spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. It says, many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased, man. And that's twofold, man. The children of Israel have been increased, but also this world has been increased in knowledge and running and to and fro around the world. All right. You have, when was knowledge really increased was with the time of Alexander. All right. When they was building the Library of Alexandria over there near Egypt. And one ship would pull up to a port. They would pillage a country, and the first thing they would go after is their literature or their knowledge or their culture, and they would take all the books and store them in the Library of Alexandria and the different libraries, all right, the Greeks and the Roman Empire, all right, and knowledge was increased from that process. It was taking the ships and carrying it back and forth. But that was still slow. And so knowledge was increasing all over the world. They were trading with different civilizations. But now you have, these times, you have computers, Google. You can just go on Google and type it up. You want to hear the words right on the internet. Everything's right there. Click of a button. All right. This is they call it the Internet of Things, the World Wide Web. The super information highway. You hear that? Super information highway. Sheesh. Super information highway. So that's quick. So knowledge has been increased, and people are running to and fro, not in just old wooden ships anymore that take days or weeks to get from one side of the earth to the other. Now you have speedboats, jet planes, all kind of planes in the sky, highway, air traffic controllers, and all kind of shit going on, man. So many planes in the sky. Within the hour, it looked like the traffic on the streets. All right. What's the biggest company right now? I think it's Boeing, which was started by Germany, if I'm not mistaken. All right. So they got all this technology that they have to fuel. So that's how they run to and fro all over the damn earth. All right. And that's the times we in. And this is talking about Esau, Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. All right. So All right, man. This is a beautiful scripture, man. Gonna hit all the points. Check this out. Ezekiel 28. So he said they have become wiser than Daniel, man. All right. Daniel was wise in the science of things, meaning the knowledge and the process of how things move in the earth. All right. And he was knowledgeable in the wisdom of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And Esau stole our books and looked into our books and sought to paint the likeness of their images. And they built that into their history books and their libraries. And they've gained the fatness of the world, of the earth, so they could study life, right? They study life in the form of its minute value, which would be its atomic value or elemental value. They study it in that sense. But the Lord said, be not a follower of science. The study of life is the study of truth, the study of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. And Esau has sought out to corrupt and hide that truth. So you have to know the truth to create a lie. So they know that we're the children of Israel. They know about Yahweh and Yahushai. They know about the Hebrews, right? So that's why the Lord calls them what? The deceiver, the devil, Satan, the adversary to the truth, Antichrist, anti-truth. All right. So they become wise in all these things, man. In the world, they get to travel the world. Every time you cut on the goddamn TV, you see Esau, damn Edomite jumping off a mountain climbing, over there in the damn safari. What was that guy named Crocodile Hunter? Fucking with the animals, digging into the damn earth, always doing some shit they ain't supposed to be doing. Just like they were doing with us, going around fucking with us, putting us in zoos and shit like that, picking our brains apart, using us for guinea pigs and experiments and shit, cutting off our heads and digging into our skulls and shit like that and examining us. That's what they're doing to the earth. The earth is in bondage as well. All right. So the whole creation mourneth together, waiting for the manifestation of the sons of God, man. The sons of the true power that are going to heal the earth through the healing that's given to them from Yahweh Shai and from Yahweh. But this is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. See that? The world will rejoice. The people will rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And the wicked is bearing rule right now. The Edomites, Caucasian race, they run the world. All right? They run these heathens. They're the ambassador amongst the heathens. And they have also manipulated and deceived two-thirds of our people with their poison of the serpent and their philosophies and their lies. So the people are in mourning around the world. All this oil drilling that they're doing, they're drilling over there off the shores of Israel. They're drilling off the shores of Puerto Rico, causing earthquakes daily. They're drilling in Australia for that, what they call that sweet oil. And I think those fires have something to do with that. You know, maybe. Or they killed 1 billion animals through wildfires, man. I think it's a controlled fire. All right. This is Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. It's crazy, right? It's crazy, man. You can look at that with slavery, and also with the technology, man. You know, listening through your phones and shit. Anything you do in this society, they used to grab people up and then just pick it apart, man. Esau is involved in everything. You always see Satan in the midst. All right. This is with thy wisdom, right? Calling him more cunning than any beast of the field, man. With thy wisdom, right? That's what they call them, the illuminated ones, the Illuminati. Those elite bankers, that's who's running those oil rigs. With thy wisdom and with thy understanding, Thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. And some of that gold is also that oil. All right, you have the gold bullion, which is pure element of gold, metal, precious metals. Then you have oil as well. Excuse me. And silver. All right, into thy treasures, man. And that's what they play with today: gold and silver, and precious liquid or fuels. All right. It says by thy great wisdom, see, through their cunningness, through their subtlety. That's Esau, man. That's that serpent. Where it says in the beginning, man, in Genesis, that the serpent was going to dwell in the dust, and they were going to be bruised upon their head. And this that scripture that leads into that, where they'll be bruised spiritually through the hopeful elect, through the spirit of Yahweh Shai. All right, which represents that the serpent or the dragon in the hand of Moses. They threw it down, and the staff turned into a dragon or a serpent, and it devoured their dragon, the Egyptian dragon. All right, Yahweh Shai is going to devour the dragon in the scriptures and Revelation being the Illuminati. All right, and all their thoughts, all their devices, imagination. But also the Lord is going to send these heathen nations to contend against America. All right, through the game of chess or Chaturanga, which would be the 4 divisions of the earth: the north, east, west, and south. All right, what you call a world war. Now it says, with thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches, and has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. So through their riches and their fatness, it deceived them now. It had blinded them. All right, because they think that's godliness. They think that's true power when it's not. All right. And they set themselves up to be as God. You know, manipulating all kind of shit in the earth, man. The air, the elements, the gold, the silver, the precious metals, the oil, digging into the earth, acting like they the first ones that thought of that refining process, when these natural processes occur upon the earth anyway. So it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic. See, traffic being that what? Business. All right, this is the word for traffic. It says, so by thy traffic, all right, it says rakala, which means merchandise, traffic, trade. And that's America, man. That's not Rome. This is talking about America right here. So by thy great traffic, it says as peddling, trade, right? Babylon, man. Babylon was known for its traffic. Just like today, America is known for its traffic. Just like, and it's funny, man, I gotta get the scripture too in a minute. The ancient Babylon was known for having asphalt roads. That was the first time asphalt was used to pave pavements and highways and roads, was in ancient Babylon. And now today in this Babylon, they pave all their roads with asphalt, making it basically a hot box, man. As soon as all they gotta do is shoot a missile in the air, and everything gonna turn into lava. It's already set in place because it's petroleum gas in the damn ground. We're walking on a powder keg, living on this shit, breathing it. All right, so I'm gonna get this scripture, man. Try to get to it quick. All right, so it says this. Verse 5. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic, thou hast increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches, man. See that? So their heart, their mind has been lifted up in pride because of thy great riches. Look at Trump. All right. All these Edomites in America. And and leading back to also the dragon, the European Union, the Illuminati, those elite bankers. So their riches have lifted up their heart, man, their mind, into thinking that they're God, they're the power, when they're not. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. See that? They have set their heart as the heart of God, man. You know? Destroying, basically manipulating things in the earth. Calling themselves the power. Behold, therefore, I will bring strangers upon thee, and the terrible of nations. There's going to be China, Russia, Iran. And they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom. Ain't that something? So they're going to draw their swords, their missiles, and their military against all of America's glory. When the Lord is going to strike at America's wisdom through the Spirit, through us, where we fight a spiritual battle through the word and not going out and teaching and rebuking, reproving and rebuking and warning our people. But then you have these nations that are going to strike at the beauty. And the beauty is what? The covering. So they're going to strike at, what the Lord say? He's going to stir up the Medes against them, and they shall not regard silver or gold. So their beauty would be their power, their might as well, man, their military. So the Lord's going to build these, he built these nations up against it. All right, God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, going to join up with these other countries, Ezekiel 38. All right. The Lord had made them to bear Russia, made them great and strong and enough. So, and that's just it, man. It says, and they shall defile thy brightness, man. The Illuminati over here in America is going to be brought low. It's going to stem all the way back to Europe. All right, because the Fed, you have the central bank, and you have America, the American government, which they go hand in hand. All right. They shall bring thee down to the pit. See, so from America all the way to the Tudor, to Europe, they shall be brought low. You know, and it says, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. And it just so happened they out there digging all in the damn oceans and the sea. All right. And the Lord said he's going to destroy Leviathan in the sea, which is NATO, European Union, and America, all together as one. The Lord said he's going to destroy all of that whole establishment. He's going to start with America. All right, so this was back in Genesis 11. I'm going to get to the point quick because I'm at 51 minutes. Genesis 11 and 1, and the whole earth was of one language at that time. All right, and of one speech, right? Coming down off of Mount Ararat and being spread out and scattered, the whole earth was of one speech, which was it was called Proto-Hebrew. All right, Proto-Hebrew, which means the first Hebrew, but everybody spoke different dialects of it. You had the Canaanitic version, right? You had the Babylonian version, which they call what was the word, man? Sumer. All right, the Sumerian Hebrew. All right, which was later called Babylon. All right, Chaldea. You know, and you had the Akkadian version of it, which was basically the same thing. All right, it's called the Sumerian, then later on called Akkadian script. Later on called Aramaic. But you still had that Proto-Hebrew, which was spoken by Shem. All right, Eber. So let me move on. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. So that's today called Babylon. All right. And they said one to another, "Go to, let us make brick and burn them." So this is way back in the beginning. So they knew how to make brick and burn brick. You see that? And they put the clay together or make the bricks and stones. And they had brick for stones, and slime had they for mortar. All right. So they would build cities with the slime. Now let's see what the slime is. All right. Right here it says slime 2564H. It's called bitumen, and that's what they call it in America today. Excuse me. They call it bitumen, or what you call what? Asphalt. There you go. Isn't that the processed form of petroleum? All right. Or distilled or filtrated form of petroleum is asphalt that we see every day on the street. Black asphalt. And you have tar as well. Then you have asphalt. You have tar that comes up in rivers and stuff like that. You know, like dealing with Moses in Egypt. Now it says what? Kamar. All right, kamar, which means slime, pitch. Call it pitch. Oh, that's a key word too. And bitumen. As rising to the surface. Sorry, so it comes from the earth to the surface. Those are natural slime pits that they would use. Now I'm gonna get another one. All right, so I'm gonna go into this real quick, briefly. You had the war that happened during the time of a little bit after Abraham, or during the time of Abraham, and you had the sons of Shem, which were Elam. Then you had the sons of Ham, which were Sodom and Gomorrah, right? All those Gaza Strip countries. And it was 4 countries of Elam against the 5 countries called the Vale of Siddim, all right, which today is called the Gaza Strip. Or and back then, those Philistine countries, which was Africans, Canaanites, places like what? Zar, I call it Zar, but it's called Zoar, Gomorrah, Tyre, Zidon, and Sodom. All right, so those countries were at war against the Elamite king named Kedar Laomer. All right, in the Hebrew it would be Kedar Laimar. All right, so he was an Elamite, which today are called the Dot-Head Indians. A lot of those Persians, all right, are Elamites. And it says, so I'm gonna read it now with that understanding. That was a war that happened, and that's a good war to read about. I did a lesson on it a while back. I might repost it soon, or just do another lesson on it. All right. This is called the Battle of the Vale of Siddim. All right. Now it says, I'm gonna start from verse 9. It says, with Kedar Laimar, the king of Elam, and with Tidal, the king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, those Sumerians. All right, a lot of those are Amorites and Aramaeans, which are Syrians. All right, and Asherites, which was up in the north. It says, and Arioch, king of Elasar, 4 kings with 5. See that? And the Vale of Siddim was full of slime pits. And the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. So now that's what I wanted to focus on, is the slime pits. Those natural occurring slime pits, which are what? distillation processes that happen by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai in the earth, to where petroleum is distilled and filtered into asphalt, or from asphalt into petroleum, or however, So slime pits. It says a pit, a well. All right. So let's get this real quick. It says ba'ara, or ba'ar. All right. These are those slime pits. All right. Over here near Zoar. This is where Job ran, and he was spared when the Lord destroyed those countries over there. All right. He destroyed the neighboring countries, Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. And he also destroyed Zoar later. Okay. Zoar is destroyed till this day. Now, these are slime pits right here, man. All right. Naturally occurred slime pits. So now let's see what those slime pits are. All right. It says, what is a slime pit? And I just read the scripture, Genesis 14:10. And the vale of Sodom was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. The slime pits were bitumen, all right, or asphalt pits. A great deal of the asphalt of ancient times came from the Dead Sea, which was also called Lacus asphaltitis. So the Dead Sea is full of asphalt, full of that process of that distillation of petroleum or algae or zooplankton or whatever type of forms of jellyfish or organisms on the earth, or fossil fuels. All right. So that's fuel. Now, Esau has taken that in their vanity. This is Psalms 94. Let me see, 94:9. He that planted the ear, shall he not hear? He that formed the eye, shall he not see? He that chastiseth the heathen, shall not he correct? He that teacheth not man knowledge, shall not he know? Right, man. So he the one that gave the knowledge to Esau to understand this, to do the things in the world that he's doing. So the Most High definitely know about it. Yahushua knows about these things. All right. And he allowed us to know about it all the way back to the beginning. All right. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai knoweth the thoughts of man. And he said, Esau has become wiser than Daniel. He said what? That they are vanity. All right. So all of it is vanity. All right. I'm ended with this, 2 Ezra 2:8. Woe be unto thee, Asher, thou that hidest the unrighteous in thee. Now, Assyria fell in 612 BC. All right, Assyria fell to Nebuchadnezzar, who began Babylon in 626 BC. All right, and he took down, what's his name? Ashurbanipal, which was the Asherite, right? One of the sons of Shem. But the blessing fell on our Arphaxad. But you had Asher, who started a place called today Assyria. All right. In 625 BC, you had Nebuchadnezzar, who was a Syrian, who started Babylon in northern Chaldea and then moved to southern Chaldea. And then with the Amorites, which are Hamites, Nubians, and Syrians, which created Babylon. And then they moved to where? They created Babylon, and then his son took over after the destruction of Assyria in 612 BC. All right, Nebuchadnezzar took over in 605, when his dad died in 606, around that time. or 605. And everything that Nebuchadnezzar was building and dreaming about and creating, Nebuchadnezzar applied that to Babylon. All right, so that's what Daniel 7, where it says a man's heart was given to it. And that heart that was given to it was through Nebuchadnezzar, but that heart was from the mind of his father, Nebuchadnezzar. All right, and that's how he established Babylon. So was Assyria burned down in that way? No, it was burned, but with Babylon, they had streets of asphalt. So that fits today in America, America being Assyria or Asher. America's that place. America's spiritually Babylon, spiritually Assyria, spiritually Egypt. All right. So when you hear this, woe be unto thee, Assyria, you got to think about America now, or Edom. Thou that hidest the unrighteous in thee. O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lord saying, remember what he did to Sodom and Gomorrah. He destroyed it with nuclear fire. He met element with element. A bigger form of petroleum, or what you would call nuclear uranium, or something from out in the heavens. It says, whose land lieth in clods of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so also will I do unto thee. Hear me not, will I do unto them that hear me not, saith Yahweh Almighty. All right, so this is Isaiah 34:8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. So, all right, and that's what's happening now. We're in the year, in the time, not 2020, but it's that time period of Yahweh's judgment and vengeance. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch. See that? So what's the streams? America's streams, their rivers, their lands, everything will be turned into pitch. Now what's pitch? Mind you, I said Babylon, their streets were paved with asphalt. America's streets are paved with asphalt. Asphalt is a distilled, filtered form of petroleum, which is a gas, ignitable gas, man. All right. The scriptures say in the kingdom, our streets going to be paved with gold. So it says asphalt. Can you imagine that? Seeing the earth glorified instead of destroyed? Being the earth being wrapped in gold instead of wrapped in this bonding asphalt, destroying the grass and the soil. And Esau digging into it, stabbing into it like they do in the damn hospitals. So it says asphalt, zapath, which means pitch, tar, or asphalt. All right, to liquefy. It says asphalt from its tendency to soften in the sun. So the ground over here in America is going to soften from the radiation of those nuclear missiles that hit this place, according to the scriptures in World War III. So it says what? And the land thereof shall become burning pitch. So not only the rivers and the streams, but it said the dust shall be turned into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. So the ground, the streets of America, which is known as spiritually Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. All right, Babylon had its streets. That was if you look up asphalt, it's going to say Babylon was the first place to start using. All right, I'm going to read this. I ain't going to go into it. History of asphalt. National Asphalt Pavement Association. The first recorded use of asphalt as a road building material was in Babylon around 615 BC in the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar. See that, man? So that heart and that mind of King Nebuchadnezzar was put into action even more by his son, Nebuchadnezzar. All right. It says in a century of progress. All right. So America is known as that century of progress too. All right. So basically them using all the asphalt, the petroleum, all this stuff, man. The Lord using that to set more fuel for the fire, man. When World War III breaks out, everything will be ignited. Everything about fire right now. All right. Everything will be fought with what? Fuel of fire. Petroleum, uranium, all different types of fucking asphalt and crazy pitch going on. Brimstone, fire and brimstone. All right. It says, I'm going to end it with this. Revelation 18 and 11. Alas, 10. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment. I'm going to get verse 9. 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, man. So the Lord's going to burn America with fire. And in one day, all this destruction is going to happen. So they're digging in the earth, all this major distribution going on around the world is all vanity. For strong is the Lord, Yahweh, who judgeth her, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, as you've seen all these different deals going on with the gold, silver, merchandise, Wall Street, oil market, shall bewail her. People like Saudi Arabia, Israel, right? Well, not Israel, but Saudi Arabia, Japan, and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, America, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. Right? Because people like China, all these countries are getting rich off America. All right? And that's just it, man. And they're going to turn and destroy America. But at the same time, these lesser countries, they're going to be like, oh, shit. How the hell? And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise any more. All right? The merchandise of gold, right? And the silver, precious stones, and of pearls, and fine linen, purple and scarlet, silk, and of all Thayan wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious woods, and of brass, and of iron, and marble, and cinnamon. All this stuff comes imported and exported throughout America. Or America gained all these resources through its deception of the dollar. All right, it's not built here in America. It's brought here to America and imported or exported. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense, which comes from India and over the Middle East, and wine and oil. There you go. All right. And fine flour and wheat and beast and sheep, horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. All right. So you have wicked and righteous men here. And slaves. All right. And souls where the children of Israel cry out and suffering here in America. And also 2/3 of our people are spiritually destroyed here in America. But you see, it says oil. All right. 1637 G. And it says oil, Eleon, as I read earlier, where it said petroleum, where it comes from, the word oil, petroleum, oil, Eleon, all right? Petro meaning rock, and oil meaning Eleon, which means liquid or oil. Olive oil. It says what? For fuel for lamps, for healing the sick, for anointing the head and the body, mentioned among articles of commerce. All right. So you can use oil for lamps, you know, like basic other types of oils, or you can use oil to light up a city, or to build a city, or to fuel engines and shit like that. All right, and petroleum is a form of that oil as well. But the Lord said He's gonna destroy all these things, and from within America. It says, "In the fruits that thy soul lusted after, are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off, for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing." You know,